Hello, and thank you for joining us on this episode of the Insider Channel. Today, Jay and I will introduce you to ways you can get rid of junk in your review so that you can quickly identify what you do not need to focus on, whether it's spam or other non-relevant emails, or simply identifying duplicate records which you do not want to review or need to produce. We will talk about ways to address these during the entire process, from collection, ingestion, review, and production. So, Jay, why don't you get us started with ways that our users can eliminate junk during the collection process?
All right. Thank you, Brenda. Yes, I'm glad to be talking about this topic because many times people are looking through millions of emails and files and data looking for something specifically, but it's really hard to do that when you have a lot of clutter and a lot of extra stuff that you know you don't need. So one of the first steps is much like when I'm doing spring cleaning in my house and I'm trying to get rid of stuff. I think, wow, why do I have this stuff in the first place? How did it ever get into my house? So similarly, one of those starting points is what are you actually collecting? Now, sometimes you have the luxury of making some choices about targeting that collection. There are some situations you have an entire mailboxes or entire hard drives, and that's the data you have, and that's your starting point, and that's normal. And we'll show you some ways that you can quickly whittle down and cull it down. However, sometimes you have the advantage of doing a targeted collection. Yes, I'm collecting from a mailbox or a number of mailboxes, but I know at least a date range or some other criteria to get a smaller subset of documents. Sometimes you have the ability of going into the native application and doing an export, so you get an even much more focused amount of data. So really, it's always that art and science of, and regardless of what tool you're using, is how much to collect. And the more you can get from a narrower starting point, of course, the easier. But then again, sometimes you need that whole universe. So it's really that art of you're casting a net. And if it's too wide a net, you have a lot of extra noise. Do you know what you're looking for? Do you not know? So the more you can scope or target your criteria and not get too much extra garbage in the first place makes it easier. But of course, if you do get it in, then we'll be able to help you out.
So, Jay, even if they do cast that net a little large or long or far and gather and bring in too much information, that's not a problem either, because today we're going to show them ways on how to do some spring cleaning on their data and whittle that down and get rid of all that junk.
Absolutely. Okay, so Brenda, I've done a lot of talking, but maybe a few visuals will help. So let's go ahead and show an example of things you could do at the collection stage to make things more efficient.
Okay, great. So once you have your matter created, simply go to the upload and then select upload again. And then from here, you have these three different options. But today, I think, Jay, let's focus on the Exchange or Microsoft Exchange Collector, because that's where we see most of the concern with our clients is, hey, we're collecting entire mailboxes, or we just feel like we're collecting too much information. So what can we do to help them here?
I think that's a great example because I think a lot of times when clients are uploading data, often that is a subset already. I mean, it might be larger volumes of garbage you don't know, but I think emails are the most common example. So, for example, if you were collecting from Office 365, common example, you have some opportunities. So, of course, I can collect from Brenda's mailboxes or a large number of mailboxes, and I may need to get that entire mailbox. However, if I know that, for example, it's just a certain date range, or I don't need emails older than 2 years, that can help right there because then I'm reducing the amount because we all know we have too many emails, we save too much stuff. So if you can scope it, and so as one example is doing a date range or a date cutoff at some point, like on the screen up here, you can choose all emails before a certain date, but you can also do after a certain date or between. So we have a number of opportunities here to be able to scope it. And that right there is going to reduce it before you even bring it into the system. Now, we do have some opportunities to put some keywords, which can further reduce it if the keywords appear. However, here again, there's a bit of art and science because when you bring it into Xylab, we're going to be doing some deep processing, extracting things, OCRing documents. So, if you simply rely on a keyword search of something that's sitting in an email box and say Microsoft Exchange, you might actually miss some things. So you do actually want to make sure you're bringing in, casting a wide enough net, and then you can let Xylab do its search and take advantage of our filters from there.
So, Jay, Just the other day, we had a new release that included some new deduplication features. Can you talk about that for a minute and explain a little bit about how that will also help our audience kind of weed out some of the junk?
Yeah, definitely. So if you have been using Xylab for years, of course, you are aware that we deduplicate during processing, either by custodian or throughout the Matter. We can deduplicate and filter out duplicate documents. We also have duplicate identification, where if you do have duplicates, we can identify those through a little icon, or you can tag duplicates in bulk. And these have, or we even have near duplicates, and this has been around for a while. However, in our newest release, so this is available if you're one of our cloud clients and you use it in the cloud, it's already available to you. If you're an on-premises client, it'll be the next time you upgrade. And what we've done is we've really shifted the control to you to be able to manage how you want to deduplicate, when you want to deduplicate, and be able to have more insight into seeing whether it's a duplicate, how many duplicates exist, and this will help you with your decluttering as well. So we can go ahead and show that to you. The first thing we'll show is in the configuration button. And again, this is if you have the rights and if you're on the right release. There's a new deduplication area, and it's actually quite simple. We ran this the other day. And as you can see, you have an option between deduplicating at the matter level, meaning across the entire collection of documents, or within a custodian. So for example, if I have a copy of a document and Brenda has a copy of a document, we will mark it accordingly. And it's a pretty simple process. You decide the level and manner of it, and you hit start. Again, we already ran this on the document set a few days ago. And then the result of that is when you're looking in the documents, you actually have a few options. As you can see, Brenda's got the columns up that show whether it's a duplicate or not, and that will let you know, is it a unique document or is it a duplicate? And if it is a duplicate, one of the document versions will be designated as the main document. The others will be duplicates of that document. And you can also see the duplicates count. So again, you can see in that other column that if there are duplicates or a main document, you know that there's 4 of them, there's 1 of them, 10 of them, 100, depending on, again, what you collected. So using these 2 fields, you're able to quickly identify duplicates. And so once you have identified duplicates and you want to declutter, Brenda, show us a good technique for handling that.
Okay, so in this case, I would want to filter by duplicate type by document, and I would want to select duplicate. And I am actually going to mark all of these. A tag's already been created, a duplicate tag, and I'm actually going to bulk tag them all so that I know when I'm doing my review, if I come across one of these documents, that it's an actual duplicate of this of another document. You can see here, I've already tagged 94,000 documents as duplicate. And where this is really going to be beneficial, and we'll talk about when we get to the production stages, you can now use this duplicate tag during that production so that you can identify documents that you do not want to produce.
And one great aspect of this deduplication feature, again, as we're handing over more control to you as you're using our system, is that if you simply want to just hide the duplicates from view because you want to go through your review, maybe you'll use the scope settings to tag duplicates as you review. All right, but Brenda, another great feature we've added related to duplicates is simply, you know what, with duplicates, I just don't even want to see the duplicates. I just want the unique documents. And an easy way to do that is if you notice under the document count where it says duplicate documents and it shows the number there, if you just click on that one time, it is going to hide the duplicates, and then you will only be left with the unique versions or unique documents. And you'll notice you always see that the duplicate documents have been hidden, and you can always show them again if needed. And that way you're able just to quickly get them out of sight.
So in other words, Jay, I wouldn't have had to have gone through that process of bulk tagging those documents as duplicate.
Well, that does have some advantages. Again, an easy way, if you identify by tag, to include in other searches, or as you said before, production. But yes, if you simply just want it out of sight, out of mind, we've already built that in for you. There's a few other options if you look under the gear on how to show and hide the duplicates. And that's another way to show all documents with the duplicate counts, or we also look at the families as well. But Brenda and I will be talking more about deduplication and duplicate identification in a future episode. So we just want to point this out as a quick way to declutter the screen.
Jay, I really love this new deduplication or this new duplicate identification feature. It's awesome, and I think it's going to be very powerful for our users. But as we all know, that despite how targeted our collections may be or how easily it is to remove duplicates, there's still going to be a potential for large amounts of non-responsive data that will need to be reviewed. Fortunately, Xylab One has many ways to help you quickly address those documents. For example, before you even begin ingesting the data that's been collected, you can create auto-classification rules which will not only identify the junk, but can also tag it or assign it to someone for review. So let's take a look at some examples. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the configurations menu and select auto-classification. We have several examples here for you that I'm just quickly going to talk about. For example, this rule here is looking for emails that have been sent from either a news center or a sports such as ESPN, ABC, Fox News, CNN. When these emails are coming into this particular matter, they're being classified as news and sports, and they're going to populate a facet back on that facet dashboard. Here's another great example. This one here is looking for spam type emails or newsletters. It's looking for the actual text in the body of an email for the terms unsubscribe or opt out, or if you do not wish to receive. And it's classifying them as a newsletter, but it's also tagging them as not responsive. So all of these junk emails or these spam emails that are coming in, not only they're being classified, but they're also already being tagged for you as not responsive. You can even take this a step further now and create another rule that says, when this rule is met, I want you to assign all of these not responsive newsletters to a specific reviewer so that they can immediately log in, have access, review them, and determine if they are in fact not responsive. Here's a great example of a rule that identifies emails that are being generated from, say, online shopping or other retailers that your custodians are receiving. Another great one here, social networking. So we're going to identify any emails that are being generated from the LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter. Imagine how many emails, if you have an alert, like a Google alert that's set, these are automatically being identified and bucketed into the social networking facet. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that you can do with these auto classification rules. In our first Insiders channel, we talked about how easy it is to create these rules and help you identify information, but I'm going to go ahead and show you again. And I'm going to use an example that maybe you could use in your own practice. Here at Xylab, we routinely get a lot of emails from our HR department or from, say, our IT department, or even from our support site, support@xylab.com. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to show you how to create a rule that will automatically identify these emails as either junk or not relevant. So I'm going to go ahead and select the plus sign here to create a new rule. I'm going to call it Xylab non-responsive emails. Select my intake here. Here I need to create the query, which is going to identify the information that I want classified. So in this case, it is going to be email from HRM, which is Xylab's HR department, or email from IT support, or email from support@xylab.com. Down here, I'm going to identify what the action is that I want to happen on these documents as they come into the system. So in this case, I want to actually update that email classification facet. So I'll select the email classification from my fields list, and I'm going to say this is Xylab non-responsive. And I'm actually going to go ahead and apply a not responsive tag to it as well. And that's how easy it is to create one of these auto classification rules.
Yeah, and Brenda, I think one of the best ways that I like to explain, or that we like to explain auto classification is, it's automatically classifying the documents for you, either identifying with a tag or a field, letting you know, and you can use this in facets. So really looking at the tasks that you would need to do anyways. I mean, if you've been doing your review for years and years, you know that, oh, the first steps I do is I need to search for all of these, like Brenda was looking for all of the emails from IT support or from HR that she knows are not really relevant. And so this is a way just to automate that. So when you first see your documents, this has already been done and they've already been identified, and it just saves you that much more time.
And now that we have these rules, let's go ahead and jump back to the facet dashboard and let's talk about how we can use these rules in combination with the facets to quickly and easily identify the junk and get rid of it. Let's take a look at some of these examples. As you can see from the email classification, there's several buckets of information which was captured and classified. For example, the emails that were classified as being sent from the retailers. You can quickly see from the email field that they appear to be from Amazon and other retailers. So now that you know that they are in fact junk and not relevant, you can go ahead and just bulk tag those as being not responsive and get them out of your review. Jumping back to the facet dashboard, you can use that same method to easily and quickly mark as not responsive the rest of these non-relevant emails that have been collected.
So Brenda, now obviously you gave some options of just tagging them as not responsive, not relevant. But what if we wanted just to identify them as junk, or something like that?
Oh, great idea, Jay, because that is a common use case for many of our clients. They prefer to use a custom tag that they've created to help them identify not only when documents are not responsive, but why they're not responsive. So a junk tag, a custom junk tag would be perfect for this reason. So we've gone ahead and created a custom tag using the custom tag feature. As you can see here, here's the tag. Once that tag was created, using that email classification based on auto classification rules, we were able to take a look at the newsletters, the classification for newsletters, and once we reviewed them, we were easily able to identify the documents that were not relevant, and we went ahead and actually bulk tagged them using that junk tag.
And what's great about that is now, of course, now that these documents are tagged, they could be used in searches to, exclude from searches. However, we love to use facets to make it quick and easy. So, Brenda, can you pull up the junk tag facet?
Sure.
So now if Brenda pulls up the junk tag facet, now we see that, yes, we have 30,000 documents that have been tagged as junk and the rest are not. And this was only some newsletter tagging that we've done. We haven't yet gone through other things which might be junk. But quickly right there, we have 30,000 documents that we know we don't need to review anymore. So being able to look at this, of course, we see that there's 30,000 junk emails. And again, that's just what we've tagged using the newsletter. We could probably get that number much higher. But now we can look, and if I had to do searches on custodians over at the left, what are some ways we could quickly get to non-junk emails?
Sure, Jay. So let's focus on Andrew Lewis here. So say if I select Andrew Lewis and I look, I can see that almost 8,000 of his emails are actually classified as junk emails. That leaves only 4,000 emails that are not classified as junk. So that's less than half of the emails that were collected for him that actually need to be reviewed now. And as Jay said, that's not even considering, that was just newsletters itself. That did not include any of the other areas of classification that potentially could be junk.
And we also learned that Andrew gets a lot of emails.
He sure does.
A lot of newsletters.
A lot of newsletters. Absolutely. He sure does. Hey, Jay, now that we've been through the collection, ingestion, and review process, how about we talk about how we can address reducing junk during the production cycle?
Absolutely. I think moving into production. So when your review is complete and you want to produce, for those of you who have done a lot of productions with Zilab, you know that productions are based on some type of a search or criteria. You have to let the system know which documents you want to produce. So we recommend often using a tag, whether it's a produce tag or a combination of existing tags, such as all documents that are responsive or documents that are relevant and not privileged. But we can add to this, and we can add things like "and not junk," or we can even say "not duplicate." So these are some great ways when creating a production to make sure you're decluttering your production. And this is one of our most common requests we see from people who are creating productions, is making sure they're not producing duplicates.
Well, Jay, I think we've given our audience quite a few good ideas on how they can declutter their review. I hope that they take advantage of some of these. Can you tell them some ways that if they want some more information or other ways that they can get help from us?
Absolutely. So whether it's more information or if you have questions about decluttering or any of the aspects that we've shown today, whether it's auto classification rules, creating custom tags, running productions, doing combining fields and keyword searches, whatever it might be, or learning more about deduplication, you can always go to docs.xylab.com and get access to training videos, knowledge base articles, and other tips and tricks.
Great. Well, we thank everyone for their time today, and we'll see you soon on the next episode of Insider's Channel.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.